local workshop for the Re-Store project in our cooperative took place at the end of June in our site. We welcomed a group of 18 people. 16 was operator and educators from a summer center, and 2 of them were coordinator of the group. The age was for the educators and the operators of the summer center from 21 to 30, while for the coordinators from 35 to 50. First of all, we make an introduction to our space, that is the Moon. The Moon stands for a museum workshop of narrative objects. That is a very little private museum, and also our site, and is made of different spaces. We have an exhibition room, we have an atelier with unstructured material, and I'm in the atelier right now, and we have also a room that is dedicated to workshop. Then we make an introduction also to the Re-Store project. So we explain the group the goal and the outcomes of the Re-Store project, and all the path that the project is carry on, and also all the output that will be lead on till the end of the project in the next autumn. And after that, we shared with them the objective of the day. So what we would like to do with them during that workshop. And that was creating some postcards, starting from a very simple material that is paper, but introducing also some very simple digital tools to trying to animate these postcards and create little movies with them. Why postcards? Postcards for us in our work that is always linked with broken materials and with broken objects and wasted materials are one of the most romantic objects that we save, we treasure in our heart. Postcard is an almost forgotten object, but for us it's very interesting because it is a traveling item, always in balance between private and public, but is also a symbol that has been very important in art. For example, think about the postal art. And a lot of artists create very different postcards with the most different materials. So we often propose to do postcards in our workshop, starting also with workshop for kids, because we don't want this object to be forgotten. So we would like to make postcards reborn in some way, and also trying to introduce the kids or the people that have never sent one to this world, to this traveling world. But also postcards for us are symbol of reliance and of traveling, of course, but also are the link between people, even if people are very far away one from another. If 2 persons are very far away, the postcard was one of the most romantic objects to unite them. So this is why postcards. But we try to do something different this time, and we also introduce them a very simple technique to animate the postcard, but also to create it. And I will show you later also a little tutorial about this. After this first introduction, we lead the participant through our exhibition that is in that moment hosted in our exhibition room. And that exhibition is named Memory, that stands for Euro-Mediterranean Museum of Refused Objects. Memory is an exhibition that gathers all the objects that come from the Euro-Mediterranean area. They are very simple and humble objects. Most of them are wasted materials or broken objects that we gathered and find in our traveling that was made before the exhibition in 5 cities in the Euro-Mediterranean area. These objects of the exhibition are for us a symbol of the encounters that we made during these travels, and also during the visits we did in the craftsman workshop we get to. These objects in the exhibition were re-elaborated to become something else, and to become, most of all, interactive showcases. Thanks to some digital mechanisms and some analogical ones, these showcases can be handled by the visitor, so that something can happen in the showcase in the end with the object, and become something different and something more than the object in itself. That was the exhibition we went through with the people. We worked in the local workshops, but the aim of this visit for us was to discover the potential of objects, even of that object that doesn't have any economical value, for example. And another very important aim of the visit was also to let people be surprised by something unexpected that can happen, starting from, for example, a little stone or a scrap of tissue. For us, visiting an exhibition in general, or visiting a museum in general, is a very significant moment that can give us the occasion to see how museums are able to narrate places through the objects they treasure, and also can be an inspirational moment even from a digital point of view. For example, think about the audio guides of the museum, and also we in our museum we have a digital application for the visitors. So it is always for us an occasion to take some inspiration, to be stimulated by seeing things and seeing how the dispositive of museum can create a narration around objects, and the museum can also give back a value to things, in some case that things that are, as in our museum, taken from the ground, for example, or no more used. After this moment, and the participants were very involved in visiting the Memory Museum, because were very interested in interaction with machines and with the showcases. In second moment, we moved to the atelier, where the material are gathered, as you can see, and then we explored them, just by a sensitive point of view. We thought to propose to the participant also a little ice breaking to facilitate the presentation that each other could do to someone else. We gave them a sheet of paper, very simple, of newspaper, and we asked them to create a 3-dimensional shape, starting from a bidimensional shape. Without thinking about any objects in particular, but just trying to modify the shape of the paper. And it was very interesting, because our mind often thinks about create some objects that is well defined, and just concentrate on what the hands could do with the paper was not so easy at the beginning. This activity The participant liked a lot this activity, also because it was the occasion to learn something that they can also propose to their group. Remember that they work in a summer center with kids from 6 to 14, and also in other contexts. So it's a very easy activity that can be repeated with different features and adapted to the group you work with. So they were very interested, and after creating this shape, we asked them to try to imitate the shape of the paper with their own body. And also this phase was very, very funny, because some of them, for example, are sport animators, so they try to play soccer, for example, with the paper and other physical gesture. So it was something that was very interesting for them, and was also a mean to get to know each other in a more easy and light way. Then we opened the creative phase and we moved to the workshop of our Moon Museum to create a mental map. So first we went through the memory exhibition and through a geography that was the Euro-Mediterranean area, through mapping the traveling with objects, and we proposed in the same way a sort of map, but without going anywhere, but just trying to remember in particular a space. In that case, your own home. We gave the participant some brown paper, and we asked them to draw, to concentrate and to draw in detail as much as they could do all the room of their house, and also trying to indicate some specific objects that are sheltered in each room. Trying to remember, trying to choose these objects, thinking about the senses, the 5 senses. So we invited them to choose one object for the smell, one for the touch, one for the hearing, one for the sight, and so on. We named these objects the objects of the heart. So some objects that are very important in our life, that can give maybe some very special moments connected to wellness, to relax, or to balance with ourselves, for example. But was also a tool to let them express themselves about their own lives. So it's something that was useful to open a narration of their habits, of the things they like, of the moment they share, or of the lonely one they want to have. And it was a sort of moment in which they could experiment a little bit of storytelling of their own lives. And it was very interesting because they were very involved in doing the mapping of their houses. And it's something that actually is not so easy to do. We are convinced to know our house, each space, each shelf. But when we have to draw it, something is weird. So it was interesting to see that moment, and also was interesting during the feedback of the maps, the different perception of the people that live in the same house. In the group, for example, there were 2 a husband and wife, and there were also a brother and sister. So it was very interesting, the feedback of their house seen and perceived from 2 different people. And there was a very important moment also to get to know some objects that are important for them. And since the age was very different, it was interesting also to understand which kind of objects are useful or important for some people and not for others. For example, I remember one of the youngest girl thought about the books, and it was important because we often don't think about books as an object so linked to the new generation. But in that case was surprising. And for example, the mom and the dad defined a container where used diaper are put into of their children. So it was the place of smell, for example, in their house. It was both funny and interesting, that aspect of the house. Then we passed to another phase of the creative step, that was creating the postcard. We started from the 5 objects that they wrote down, one linked to each of the 5 senses, and we tried to build some postcards, choosing one of these, one among these 5 objects. The technique that we proposed to build the postcard was a technique that is based on the balance between black and white spaces, and is named in Japanese notan, that means light and shadow, but is also a technique that refers to the Gestalt perception between the image and the background. For the detail of this technique, we will make a very short tutorial, but in few words, the technique is to create an image very simple as a silhouette, as a shadow, then cut and crop the image and overturn or shift the image to the other part of the page. So it's something that is more easy to do than to say. And after doing this phase, that was quite difficult, because the creative moment is not so easy at the same time for everyone. But they were very, very involved in doing it. We opened the phase of the animation of that images. These cropped images were animated in stop motion technique. We put another table with a lamp and a mobile phone where an app was installed, and the app was named Stop Motion Studio. And then each of them went to the table of the animation before gluing the postcard, trying to move one step at a time the image or the figure they cropped from the paper, and trying to create a story in some way. They were very, very excited into this, because the animation is something that is always fascinating for every age, and is something that, even if you already know, think about the cinema or think about cartoons, is something that when you do with your own tools, with your own hands, is surprising. The difference is that you are the owner of that story, you are the creator of that story, and even if it is just a piece of paper that moves on the table, at the end is the story of your object, of your house. So it was something that was very appreciated from them. They told us they would like to repeat this kind of activity with their groups, and we also wait for their feedback, of course. We also tried a short version of the workshop, of the local workshop, involving 6 people with mental disease. We did a short version to enhance their participation, of course, and their participation was very active, especially in the phase of creating the image of the postcard and animating it. And this is something that was very light and delicate, and the surprise is always the same. Also, with some targets that maybe we think are not interested in doing the postcard in itself, or learning a new technique of cropping paper, for example. The phase of the animation and the digital tool is always something that has something magic in it. So it's very important to have this moment to involve them and create more participation, more visual participation, and enhance the storytelling. How to get better the next time? What would I change the next time? For sure, I would like to have more time to spend with the group. Also, I would like to have an occasion to talk with them about how to reuse the technique they learned in their context, in their group of work. And also I would like to ask them and have some feedback from them about which kind of issues or arguments can be linked to this technique, for example. Even if for the technique of the notan is something that is mostly linked with the sort of the balance of the beauty of balance of shape and of colors, it can be also, in my opinion, be linked to some very important social issues. It would be also nice to ask different group with different culture which kind of objects they treasure in their house or in their heart, and see how the objects are different from one culture to another. And so create different postcards and animate different postcards, even with objects that we have never seen before, for example. It would be very nice to extend this kind of experience also to mixed group, to see what kind of changes can happen dealing with different habits or different cultures or different familiar and visual heritage.